Have you ever been gaming or working online classes and your internet service constantly gets interrupted? First Nations Fiber is about to ensure that just won't happen again. Get ready for high speed at a new level. Click on fnfiber.com and sign up today. First Nations Fiber, empowering people through connectivity.
Everybody, and welcome to the Beading Table with your host, Tegoriakwa Stand-Up, and myself, Leith Makiwa. It's a beautiful day here in Kahnawake. It's nice and hot, and we have ourselves a hot guest, everybody. We are so glad to welcome Mr. Grant Jonathan, beader extraordinaire, fabric concert. I don't know. He likes to get fabrics, and he sells them all over the Confederacy, and he is here in our studio, and we are happy to have him. Hello there, Grant. How are you?
I'm tired, but I'm good otherwise. And thanks for having me.
Well, excellent. So usually what we do is when we have a guest in studio, we have them talk about themselves, because you know how artists just love to just rave about all of their wonderfulness. So Grant, can you just tell us a little about yourself? We just gave our audience a snippet on Instagram as to like a little bit of your background, but please let us know who you are.
Sure. So anytime I do a presentation, I always introduce myself, my name, and because everybody gets it backwards no matter where that comma is. So I like to give people a little grief. Jonathan is my last name. It is a family name from Six Nations. So Grant is my first name. But if you do a Google search, there's like 400 Jonathan Grants, but only one Grant Jonathan. It's moi in the house. But yeah, I like to just start with that. But I'm from the Tuscarora Nation, and I'm Bear Clan. I was born in Niagara Falls, which is just off of our territory. Went to school, University of Buffalo, went to law school there. I'm an attorney. And for the past 22 years, I've been working down in New York City for the Environmental Protection Agency. I manage their tribal program down there. And in my spare time, I am an artist. I like to do some raised beading. I was taught by my mother the basic skills, and the more advanced stuff I learned from Rosemary Hill. So I like to give her, credit and praise whenever I get a chance. And that's about it. On the side, I have a little side hustle. As you ladies know, I'm always up here with the velveteen and the old beadwork. But
with your wares.
With my wares. That's about it. That's me.
Okay, goodbye. No.
And that's all we have for today?
Yeah, you already knew this. So
I actually didn't know what you were, like, I know you're a lawyer, but I didn't know what you were lawyering.
Well, yeah, I am a lawyer, but I'm not actually lawyering for the federal government. I'm not employed as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. I'm more like kind of like a diplomat, like a liaison to all the Confederacy and the nations in New York. And I help them out with their environmental concerns, help fund their environmental programs with some grants from our agency. And yeah, whatever the priorities are, we try to help them meet those priorities.
Cool.
So just out of curiosity, was like environmental law always like something in the forefront that you wanted to go into after you were studying, or is it just something that just happened to fall in your lap?
I always had an interest. I was familiar with the problems at Akwesasne. That community is adjacent to some hazardous waste sites, and it's really impacted, the health and culture there. And we've had problems also at Tuscarora. Actually, all our nations in New York had. And, when I was young, I did an intern with a pathologist in Albany with the state of New York. And I had to do some tests and stuff in my community, take some samples. And that was kind of my first exposure to all this. I was 19 when I did that, and it just ballooned from there.
Cool. Very cool.
Usually we just talk about beadwork and all that kind of stuff and, gossip a little bit, but it's always good to know like we all have different jobs outside of our beadwork, and it's always just nice to like highlight all the different things that we're doing. Thank you for your service. No, but I mean, like realistically, like I come from Oneida and their water is not the greatest. So, anyone who's out there advocating for Ungwahue lives is really like doing us all a big favor by doing that. Big job. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So that was all I had. No. So every time we come onto the show, we always have like things written and asking like questions and whatever. So today I have nothing, and Grant just covered all of them. So Leith, it's all on you. So no, okay, I'll jump in. So we just finished our powwow. So we just had our Kahnawake powwow a few weeks ago. And for those of you who were here, maybe you stopped in and you saw all of us there. We had a stand going and it was pretty wild for a little while there in the beginning. But I would like to pick Grant's brain and see what that was your first Kahnawake experience, right? Like
Yeah,
as a seller?
At the powwow.
At the powwow, yeah. So how did you enjoy yourself?
Oh, I had a blast, and I'm trying to watch my mouth here because a certain individual is not here that I still can't pronounce her name correctly. I pronounce her name Dikwa, which in the Seneca language means I don't know, and I understand it has a different meaning here. Anyway, I had a lot of fun at that powwow, and it was quite interesting. It was huge. I didn't realize it was that large. When I walked around and looked at all the vendors, I didn't know it was going to be that many vendors there. Mm-hmm. But the experience was good. I enjoyed setting up with you guys, and of course, I brought my wares, my regular items, the cotton velveteen that the Mohawks here enjoy very much, and also the old Kahnawake beadwork, which goes back about a century and a half.
So I have more questions on that. So because I do sell some of them at the shop too for you, and I often get questions like, where are they all from? And how does he, so can you give us a background on that? Like, where do you find them? How do you find them? All of that.
Most of them are found either in antique stores or at auctions. They're found online on different platforms like eBay, Etsy. I find them in flea markets, garage sales, and I also acquire them from collectors who are downsizing, or they're getting rid of their collection because they're old. And the reason why I've been acquiring the Mohawk is really just to get them home, to bring them home, because I know all the families really enjoy this. I do fix some of them up that are like really damaged, and others I just leave alone in their original state. But that's where I get them.
Cool. Yeah. Like it's so crazy to see some of them, like there's a few in the shop right now dated like 1902, to acquire that back is like pretty cool, like to find something that's that old. And a lot of them are still in like pretty good condition, like for the most part,
Yeah. You know what else too? When you go and travel, whether it be in Florida or the Midwest, Mohawk beadwork is everywhere because your people got all over the place because of ironwork, the circuses, the Western shows. Mohawk families were traveling all over the place. And what they would do is, I guess as a side hustle, was sell beadwork. They'd go to different fairs, exhibitions, different Western shows. And that's why you see a lot of old Mohawk beadwork with place names in different cities and states and stuff like that. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And in fact, even now, when I go out to these antique stores, 90% of the time, I'm finding Mohawk beadwork rather than Tuscarora or Seneca. There's just so much of it out there.
It's everywhere. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. I had a question from somebody. She was just in the shop not too long ago. I won't name her. I won't call her out, although I know she probably wouldn't mind, but just because she recently was asking me to ask you what if you know the name of the fabric that was used on the backs of some of them, because they're like some of them are like linen-y, but they're almost like satinish type of thing. So she's like, there's a name for it, but I don't know what it was.
It's polished cotton.
Polished cotton.
It's basically cotton that's been treated with wax or probably other harmful chemicals.
Oh, lovely. Lead. No.
I do know that it's not oilcloth, but it's either polished cotton, which is kind of waxy, or it's just like a cotton that has like a linen appearance. It's got a weave to it. That's basically what everybody used.
All right, cool. Because I had a bin full of like my great grandmother's stuff, and she had a lot of pieces that weren't finished or they were just starting. And there's like one where it's a canoe and it's just flat right now, so it's like a weird shape, but it has that fabric and it feels almost like a satin-ish. And it's like on the back of like I want to say, I don't even know what, I remember there's like lobsters on the back, so it's like a recipe box or something like that. Like there's all different like things on it, but that's what they used to use, like whatever cardboard they had like laying around or whatever. But I always just thought it was satin because that's what it felt like, or it looks, because it's shimmery too.
Yeah, polished cotton, that's what it is. And then
be cool.
Around the 60s and 70s, fabric started to change. You guys for a little bit used some calico, and you get fancier around the 1990s.
Everyone moved to velveteen.
Well,
and velvet.
I think it was always around. I mean, I've seen some old Mohawk pieces that are in perfect shape. And where did they get bright pink, bright fuchsia, cotton velveteen? And you know that it is because you can see the pile on it. It's been used. It's around.
Actually, now that you say that, so a few years ago, I think we talked about this on the show, I found a whole bunch of trilobes and they were small. They were just like these tiny ones. And there had to have been about 8 or 9 and they were all prepped. I had them like in a box at the house that was all my great grandmother's. And I reached out and I did a thing with my cousins. So I gave them all one because we're all down that line, you know. So all of us did a piece. Like we all took one and we beaded it. But all of them were all velveteen. Yeah. And they were all like weird colors, like colors that we don't see like from yours or from anywhere's. Like some of them might be faded now too. But there was like salmons and like weird greens and that navy blue, but like that nice navy blue, you know, that's hard to find everywhere. But yeah, it was pretty cool to see all of that. So now that you say that, yeah, there was a few pieces. Most of them are satin that I've come across, or that whatever polished cotton. But yeah, there were actually a few pieces that were the velveteen, but it's different. I find like the pile, although it was kind of plushy, it was like you could see the rose almost in it. So it's kind of like if you move it, it opens almost. Yeah. It's like it wasn't as full, I guess, as how it is today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty cool. Cool.
So it's getting a little hot in here.
It is really hot. I mean, I'm like schwitzing all over the place.
But talking about hot and being under pressure. So for those of you who might not know, Grant is one of the artists who will be attending the Santa Fe Indian Market in August, which is in like 2 weeks, about, if not a little bit less. No, actually, it's like 19 days.
It's a little more.
It's 19 days. Some of us leave a little bit early and then work there. But with that being said, some of you might have listened in the past, and I've gone a few times, and I'm always under pressure to get my beading done. Grant, you're in the hot seat. It's hot in here. What are you working on for the market?
Small items. Very small items, just because I'm out of time. This year was just so incredibly busy with work and my personal life. I mean, I've been up here, this is my 5th or 6th trip.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I've been to Akwesasne about 4 times for my job in New York. Actually, this is the 4th or 5th time. I can't remember. But smaller items. I guess they were called by Europeans whimsies.
The whimsies.
Yeah, the whimsies. And so I'm making small beaded souvenirs, strawberries, hearts. I have a couple birds. I'm making some bracelets. And I have one competition piece in mind. It started. I'm not sure if I'm going to finish it. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Why? Because Merritt gave me some pretty amazing velveteen that I gave to her about 6 or 7 years ago. And I was like, do you still have that color? She's like, yes. Can I have a half a yard? Because I want to make a project out of it. And so she brought it to me at Powell.
Awesome.
It's beautiful. It's color blood.
Okay, it was. Yeah, I remember seeing it.
Blood. It's
like a deep
amazing.
red.
Yeah.
I saw her over there, but I didn't see what she brought over.
Yeah, I was eyeing
small
it.
items. That's what I'm bringing.
That's good.
And you know, I don't have a lot of time. I'm cranking things out. I'm starting to burn out, but I'm doing the old Tuscarora style, so everything's in clear glass. I just don't have time to use color because you know that takes some thinking.
Yeah.
You got to sit down and strategize and draw it out and think about the scheme, the color scheme, and
so that's actually a question. So me as a beadwork artist, yada yada, I do everything right on, which sometimes is dumb because then you don't like it and then you got to rip it out. So I never do all the work beforehand, mainly because I'm lazy. So I don't do that part. But is that your process? Like doing, if you're going to do something with color and all that, do you sketch it out first and like?
I'm like you.
Oh, okay.
I don't sketch it out. What I do is I put the beads down and make sure they blend and work together. But I'd say in the past 7 to 10 years, I have gone way out there. None of my colors match. I look at some of the old Tuscarora beadwork from like the 40s and 50s and 60s. And if they made a bird, they've got a bird with red wings and a blue head and a yellow. So I'm doing a lot of creative colors like that. And it works for me and I like it. And, you know, my collectors and buyers also like it. So lay down the beads, select my colors. I wing it like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wing it up. Yeah. I don't know. I find it's like extra work. Like I said, like I'm lazy in a sense. Like I find it extra work and half the time I change my mind halfway through the process anyway. So it's like, I'm going to do all of that work for what? And I'm just going to tear it apart anyway. So I skip that whole shit. And then
I don't know who who
put
would
it on.
even draw? I mean, like I draw my stuff out.
You all draw. And let's talk about
Well,
that.
she doesn't draw, but I draw, but I never color it in. I have like, usually what I'll do is I raid my stash and I'll take like 60 different colors, things that I think that might go with what I'm working on, but I don't ever draw it. I mean, I don't ever color. I just do by whim. I go flower by flower and just
I
hope
think
that it
there's
works.
some people that do like, maybe it's like a start kind of thing, but like what you're saying, we all kind of eventually just, it could, because it's going to evolve down anyway. Like you put those beads on, you have like, oh my God, I'm going to put this beautiful pink on, and you put it on, and it looks like trash, and then you have to take it off.
Take it
anyway.
off, yeah.
So, yeah.
So what I meant by
Drawing.
yeah,
We
you
are
folks
drawers.
Draw, you're drawers. Yeah. That word can be used so many different ways. Contemporary Mohawk beaters do not put the pattern on top of the fabric
Yeah.
like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's drawing from behind. The Scorora beaters, we put the pattern still on top of the fabric.
Oh,
And I
no.
like it. Yes, we get that glue stick out,
Oh my,
the pattern, and put it
get
right
the
down.
heck.
Margaret's face is just like, what?
All of that beautiful velveteen, and you're fucking gluing it.
Yes, we are. Or you sew it down.
Oh my God. Well, the sewing, okay, yeah.
Let me tell you why I
The
still
clear is good. When you do it with the clear, for sure.
It's just my opinion. That white pattern on the fabric brightens
Brightens
the
up.
beads and makes it pop out. Whereas if you're just beading right on velveteen or fabric, you can see the darkness underneath and the beads aren't as shiny or stand out, in my opinion.
No,
That's
it's
true.
true because like what I was just saying about like when you put something on, especially a lighter color on something, and if it has that glassy effect, you see it. So then it's not a true color anymore. So I do, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I challenge you sometime to a little heart or a little trilobe and put your patterns all over
Yeah.
My heart.
them. Just do it.
All right.
Find a piece that you're comfortable ruining
Yeah.
and ruin it and watch it be the most beautiful thing you ever made. I promise you.
Oh my God. It's like, it kills me. Like, well, no, I guess it's because like you won't see. So what do? You just covered up like all the paper? Because wouldn't
You'd
that
have
show
to.
somewheres?
I would hope so. I hope it's covered.
Yeah, you cover paper with the beads.
Like you go on the outside of
and
it?
the most skilled bead workers can do it, no problem.
Okay.
I
And
have
you won't
faith in
see
you
it.
can do it. Although you are using 15s.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, the other day I had to call, Grant out because we always go back and forth with the small beads, the big beads and all of that stuff. And so the other day he was doing a piece and, like he just said, he's rushing and he's got to get things done. And he was trying to fill in his bird nests and he's using what size? 10s?
10s.
So I was like, well, 15s would have covered all of that shit. It would have fit.
I was being consistent. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Let's.
Mohawks historically used size 6s and size 8 beads on all your beadwork from the 1800s right into the early 1900s. And then right around the 1920s, 1930s, you switched to 10s and were like that all throughout the 1900s. When did you folks switch to 15s?
I think it was when my mother had her bead store, Blue Sky Beads. She started to bring in, she had like size 11. She also, at the time, I think it wasn't the same supplier that I use right now, but I think it was John Bead had small 15s and it was a very limited color palette. At the time too, it was like 2000, maybe late 90s, really late 90s, but early 2000s. People started doing Sioux style and they used size 11 Miyuki beads. And people were doing that. And then slowly after that, I started getting into some 15s and then I started really using a lot. And then I procured the establishment and I just started buying more 15.
Okay.
But people also use Charlottes too. So before there were 15, people were in the community were using Charlotte, like Merritt Cross was using them. I know like
13s, you mean?
yeah, I think there were 13s.
and-
Yeah.
I think there were. They're
And maybe
slight-
size 12 too, like cuts and stuff like that. So they started using, there was a small group of people, because you have to remember, right? Like the community did a lot of beadwork, but for maybe 2 decades, if not more, beadwork wasn't as fashionable as it is now, I guess, or was needed in terms of like the economy to subsidize and stuff like that. So it started to come in towards like the 90s again, I think, if my history is on. And then people started to just gravitate and use whatever it is they could find. And I know there were a few shops here like Woolston that were selling beads and stuff like that. And I think mainly through John Bead is where they could get these smaller beads. And then I started buying them from Japan. My mother started, and I really just, that's all I wanted to use. So I just bought those.
It evolved.
It's exploded here, the use of 15s. And it's beautiful. I agree. You get a lot more detail. It makes things really, really nice. It takes a while to get things done, though, using those 15s.
Yes, it does.
I am making, actually, my competition piece is made of 15.
Hey, good job.
Charlotte's.
Good for you.
And I find, because you were saying like the 13s, I find even those, the Charlottes are cut smaller. So if you're using 15s, I feel like they're almost an equivalent to like an 18, because the 13s are almost like a 15. I find they're a lot smaller in a sense.
Depending on the color too.
Yeah. But yeah, those were really nice. That's kind of like where when I kind of started beadwork, it was whatever beads were in the house, usually probably my great grandmother's. They were really mixed though. It was like that bead soup kind of thing, like where it's just a whole lot of shit in jars and stuff. And then there was like I don't know what they are. They're seed beads, but they're like super inconsistent. And they're all like, they were a little bit bigger. They weren't Charlottes, but they were all...
Maybe they're 2-cut maybe?
2 cuts or
maybe,
3 cuts.
yeah, because they were all different. Like they weren't really uniform or whatever. So that's kind of where I started. Like that's what was available. But it's true. Like only within the last, I don't know when. Like I don't even know if those were around when they had to have been. Yeah, I just wasn't using them yet. Like to say the 15s. Like now I'm like, I joke with Jessica, like I am a bit of a bead snob. Like I like Miyukis. I like the way they sit, the way they fit together and all of that. So I usually use just that.
Actually, I use a size 10 Matsuno, which is Japanese.
Yeah.
And they're pretty uniform. They come in 11s and 12s as well.
And they come at a good price too.
Yeah.
We used to sell them.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
I like Miyukis. I like Tohos. I do like the smaller beads, but I've been consistent. I like my 10s. Sometimes I'll use an 11, but it
works. Like, like it looks good. Like larger bead. I mean, I think it was one of the questions, or maybe one of the topics we had, maybe even last year, was like, what are your preferences in beads, and what do you think about the big beads versus the little beads? And I think you can use them interchangeably. I think using them on their own is fine. It's just, you just got to know how to bead, really, is what it is. Like how to use your supplies. Sometimes it could just look like a jumbled mess, but if that's what you're going for, then perfect. But if not, then you got to change your way.
I think that's what it is, to coming with the experience of beading, or like, and learning and progressing and, getting better. Because I found like using the 15s, it's like, okay, like you start building up like your skill on it. And then I went to the 11s and I was like, this looks like trash, because I didn't know how to, its placement, its bead count, it's totally different from, it's like a bead to 2 beads difference. Like if you're going to do the same, you want the same look. And space wise, like, for me, I don't know how to do a small piece with like an 11, because I find, or a 10, because then for me, I find it looks chunky, because I don't know how to maneuver it. Yeah, I'd have to.
Put your pattern on the fabric and try. And use a color fabric that you would hate.
Yeah, I'll have to.
She's blushing in the room, guys.
Hey, it's hot in here. No?
It is hot in here.
Oh my God. I just had my hair done. Now it's melting. No,
I wondered why it would look like it was a little cream. I had my hair done too last week. Yeah. Just get some of those layers off. So we had a question, and this is a good question just because I think it's a good way to start, and it kind of takes us back to like when we all started our beadwork profession. But the first question is, when you first started beading, would you still sell a piece that you thought could be better, or would you put it aside until you knew you could improve and sell a better piece?
So I didn't start selling until I was in college, I believe, which would have been the early 90s. And, I was only making earrings. I was only making and not raised beadwork earrings like everybody's doing now. I was just making those,
like the flat rounds.
Not even the Thunderbird patterns.
Okay.
I make some. They were hoops, but made out of bugle beads, and they were these great big gaudy things. And,
we need pictures. No.
I only sold them at State Fair, and so that is what I sold. I didn't really make raised beadwork to sell until my mother died, which which was in 2006. Moved home to be with my dad, and I took the advanced beading classes in the community, and I had 6 teachers in there. Oh man, they made me rip everything out, you know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated their teaching and encouragement and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in Rosemary Hill's beading class. We had Penny Hudson in there. We had Dolly Winden. There was Marlene Prenot, Marionette Clot. There was a bunch of people in there, and most of them are gone. So I learned a lot of my skills and stuff. That fall, we applied to Indian Market in Santa Fe, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing whether I was going to get in. I didn't know whether I was good enough, but I went with only 5 pieces and sold 4.
Awesome.
There were 2 that were undone. I didn't like them, but I was told put them out anyway, and they were sold.
Undone.
Undone. Actually, one of them was a huge floral Brett, all in raised beadwork in my colors, blues and purples and greens. And on the back, this is embarrassing, I glued felt.
Oh
Just
my
to cover
goodness,
it.
really?
I glued felt, and I just edged it with
Okay.
large beads, and it sold. The woman loved it, and she pins it on her, like in her office. So,
Okay.
yeah. But now, stuff that I make, if I don't like it, it's not going on the table. So that's my response to that question.
How about you, Margaret?
Well, it's interesting because like sometimes like you see pieces or whatever, but like I look at it in a sense like you're always evolving anyways, you're always growing. So it's kind of like at the time when I would have sold things 10 years ago and it's not the way it looks now. You know what I mean? But at the time I thought it was better than I did, you know, a year before that. So it's kind of like unless you know that it's just not up to par with, unless you're not happy with it, then I wouldn't sell it. But if it's something, you know, where you're like, oh, okay, but you know, like it's not matching up to like something else, you know, I would sell it like in the sense because it's kind of like you're always evolving. Your work's always going to continue to get better. Nobody ever caps to say, oh my God, that you're like, you know what I mean? Like this is mastery or whatever. Like you're always going to improve, you know, everybody's always going to keep building their skills. So it's kind of like, I don't know, is there really a level to say, well, this is, you know, I don't know. So for me, it's like, sell it, like sell your pieces unless it's like not finished on the back. No. Just kidding.
And even then, just glue something on the back of it and it'll work.
Just slap some on. No, but it's taking pride in your work, yes, and being proud of what you're producing and things like that. But if you're proud of it and just don't compare it and don't judge it to anybody else's and sell that shit. Huh?
Yeah.
At least I didn't take a vase and just back all the panels and sell that at a powwow. I mean, come on now.
I've done that too. I've sold a vase that was extra paddles.
I had to give her shit. I'm sorry.
And she sold them all. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So yeah. Well, okay.
Not years ago. It was like 5 years ago, maybe, or less.
Well, yeah, that's years ago. So
She's not
I'm
sweating.
sweating now.
We all are. It's so hot in here.
So what he's referring to is, I guess this is a perfect example. I still sold them, but years ago I started a vase and I had an intention of doing like a 5 or 6 sided vase and it just never happened. Like I just didn't have enough time to get it going or whatever. And by the time I really came back around to it, I wasn't in love with the colors anymore. The magic was gone and
Those panels were beautiful.
Thanks. But you know what? Even that, it's like the way I did the flowers and all that. I don't do flowers like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like I've evolved. I've changed away. So I personally I didn't love it either. So, but I was like, but it's still nice. It's not like it was, shit was hanging off of it or anything, you know? So it was completed, but I said, I'm never going to finish this and put it as a vase because you would definitely see the difference in my beadwork from one side to the next because they would be totally different now because it's like 5-6 years later, you know? So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to finish them and make them into either medallions or like hangers kind of thing. So
And it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
did.
They
Yeah.
sold.
They
Yeah.
flew off her table.
Yeah. So
That third one, eventually.
yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was I think it was the medallion one, but they were big. It was they were actually big panels. So yeah. So
I
that's
did the same thing.
backstory.
Like I had a vase that had 6 panels and I only used 4. And I sold one like a couple years ago and I just sold one in Allegheny. So it works. I see the difference myself, you know, but whatever.
She's
fanning.
fanning herself
It's
over
so
here.
hot in here.
You know-
I don't find it hot at all, actually. I'm not
my
sweating. And you
God.
guys are looking like you're...
I'm exhausted. I was going to go to Timmy's. I'm so happy I didn't. to get a coffee.
Oh my God. You'd be melting on the floor.
I would be.
Oh, yeah. So
What's next, Leith? Come on.
So my next question is, when did you start calling yourself an artist, Margaret?
Oh, Jesus.
Thank you for.
Yeah.
I'm just going to rotate.
I have a funny story, and I know it's supposed to be a fast thing, but
No, it's not a fast thing.
Oh, all right.
These
Okay.
aren't rapid fire. These are just red. Blue is rapid fire, but some of them are not rapid fire. But anyway, go ahead.
All
Sorry.
right. So I still don't really even say that about
Oh my
myself.
God, Margaret,
I know,
please.
but I don't. So not too long ago, there's a road down our way. Down
No name road.
no, what the hell is it called? Jurassic Park. So it's like there's a gate on it. Like you can't come through if you're not Ungwehue. You can't take the road, whatever. You're not supposed to. So I'm going down there because it's faster to cut to my house. So I'm going, and because I don't typically look Ungwehue, I know this. The guy didn't recognize me at first. So he's like kind of like eyeing me in the car, and I'm like waving like, hello. So I had to put the window down. He's like, who are you? So I'm like, Margaret, stand up. Like, he's like, oh, the artist. And I'm like,
Beadwork, yeah.
Yeah.
what? I don't know. I just thought it was weird. I was like, I guess so. I'm like, goodbye. And then he let me through. But I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm an artist. I do art, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like on your resume, would you say artist?
Yeah.
Okay.
But when did I start saying that? I don't know. I still don't say it. No,
Last
I don't
week.
know. Yeah, today. No, I don't know. But I guess when I opened the store, because now I wasn't a teacher anymore.
Oh,
I wasn't
okay.
working at Cadbury, so I opened the shop, and now I'm official artist.
Artist, yeah.
There, Grant.
I think it was the first Indian market.
Really?
Yeah.
In the 90s.
No, 2008.
Oh, no, that's right. I thought you said you applied in.
2007
I thought
we
you said
applied,
19.
but I got into
Okay.
2008.
Okay.
No, I learned to bead in the early 90s.
Okay.
I learned initially from my mother, and then, you get distracted, you go to college, you work, whatever. And then I came back to it when I moved home and was very good at it. And so other people were calling me an artist too, just like you. And then it just, the museums start calling. And so, yeah, you're an artist.
There you go. That's a sure sign of that you're an artist when the museums are calling you. And they got your direct line.
I was impressed. My first Indian market, I got 2 ribbons. I got a blue ribbon and a red ribbon. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
ignore
not
that.
my phone. That's
No.
Miss Margaret's phone over here.
We're just gonna ignore it.
How about you, Leith? You have to answer your question now.
I would say, I think when I started Instagram, really, because I had to, I wrote beadwork artist.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of artwork before then, but I didn't really think of myself as full-fledged, okay. I mean, I've been doing it semi-seriously since my first market, which was 2012, I believe it was. And so
2010.
No, it
Herd.
wasn't.
Herd.
The Herd, yes. I went to the Herd. Yes, that's right.
2009, because I was there.
No, it wasn't 2009. It must have been 2011.
Meet in the middle.
It was
Around there.
something around there. I think I was married by then. No, I wasn't married yet. I think I was, anyway, whatever. But not even at the Herd Museum did I think I was. I was there.
You were there with your mother?
Yeah.
I was there with Rosie.
Yes.
It's 2009 or 10.
I don't know, but I got a blue ribbon there. No, I got a pink ribbon. I got the best of the division that time. That was
For your purse.
for my first
Your bag.
For my first show, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
But I didn't think of myself as an artist
Okay.
because it was just the first time I ever did anything like that. I did beadwork, but I wasn't I didn't put myself out there, I thought anyway. But then once I started, maybe when I went to Santa Fe, when I went to Santa Fe and I won that time. When people asked me to take your picture. Yeah.
Listen how humble we all are.
I know.
But I mean, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to say that, because I think of artists like Merritt Cross, or I think of Robin Delarue, and she was an artist here. She was not maybe necessarily practicing as much as she was back in the early 2000s or even the late 90s. But I think of that because those are people that I looked up to as mentors and whatnot. So I don't think of that necessarily as myself as being on that level. But I think we all are. And there's more of us now than there were before. So it's so nice to I always like to call other people artists, even if they don't call themselves, because I think it's important to acknowledge that they're doing pretty darn good work out there.
So see that? Make sure we reverse these questions to her.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one is, how do you price your work, Grant? Is it, they don't have to give me the exact formula, but because a lot of people ask about that question because, the majority of people are selling beadwork, not giving it away, but I started by giving it away and making things for family, and you obviously did, and Margaret, the same thing. So how do you figure a price?
None of your business.
And that's totally fine too.
No, there's a sliding scale, and it also depends on the venue, and it also depends on the years of experience. It was my first show ever when I went to Indian Market in 2008, and I was told, inflate your prices. I was so afraid, but I did it. Things flew off the table. So that's where I learned, was going to that show and pricing everything up. Of course, it depends on the venue. If I'm going to do like a local show or something, then I adjust my prices depending on the location, the reputation of the market, etc. But I don't have a lot of time, so I usually only do 1 or 2 shows a year, and I'm pretty consistent. In my opinion, my work is worth it. What I charge. It just is.
Yeah. And it shows because you don't have anything left over.
Anything for sale.
Yeah. And you, Mrs. You stand by your price.
No, I don't.
I know you don't, but I'm just trying to give you that confidence boost.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, right?
I don't know what's wrong with you guys.
Just give her more grief. Come on, I'll help you. Let's go back to those panels.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends too on like you said, marketplace and things like that. Like the moccasins that won in Ganondagan.
Oh, yes.
I would never sell those again for that price. That one I sold at that price because it had a ribbon. It was in a show. It was, you know what I mean? So it's there's all things. But I felt so weird, and it was like a last minute decision to even bump up the price now that it had won the ribbon at the time. And I was like, I don't think I can sell them for what I was asking like minimal to begin with. But then once they won, I'm like I could just hear people in the back of my head like, what the hell's wrong with you? You can't sell those at that price, like with a ribbon, So now I don't know. Yeah, I don't always know how to price. And it's hard because, I think because I have the store, a lot of people come to me, or I get a lot of inboxes like, what do you think this should sell for? And in all honesty, I don't always have my formula, I guess, that I tell people is kind of check your cost, your time. Those are a given, you put those in, but I don't really know how to add in experience though, because how do you tell somebody who's been beading 20 years, somebody who's been doing it 2 years, but maybe their work's the same. So for me, I don't know how to factor that in. Not that it's sometimes, yes, it is you have to, but yeah, I don't really know how to price. It's hard. I have a hard time. I struggle with it too. I still do and then everyone's asking me for advice and I'm like, oh, blind leading the blind. I don't really know. So I just, I kind of have a mental note of okay, I'm going to start doing this at this price and then keep it there for a little bit. And then maybe it'll go up a bit. I don't know. That's where I start.
So when are you applying to Santa Fe?
Oh, Lord.
I keep asking her and she's, yeah.
I don't know.
She's not ready yet. She's going to be ready. She's going to be ready soon. I can feel it, but she's just not ready yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of I think because I'm like most of you, I'm very perfectionist. And I don't have anything right now that's I don't have any idea. I don't have any drive or fire right now that I have an idea of something that's super outstanding. If
You did. You had one last month. I know. You just got to do it, but you don't got to do it tomorrow.
But so here's the crazy asshole competitive part of myself is that if I make something, I'm making it to win first place in every division. I'm not going there to fuck around.
Nobody's going there to fuck around.
Yeah.
But that's have to. That's what you have to. I mean, that's what it is. It's a competition.
Exactly. But the thing is, for me, is that I usually will, in my mind, think, well, it might not be good enough, so then I won't do it. So then I have to keep, I know they're all rolling their eyes at me.
Own worst enemies. You got to snap out of that.
Yeah, it is. I do that to myself sometimes, but right now, in reality, though, I just don't have the time to commit to the piece that I was thinking of, maybe last year. I, said this before. I really enjoy doing 3D pieces, and there was something that I had, and it is a big piece. It's going to be pretty difficult to do and all that, but I don't have the drive or the time right now. I'm with everything. So maybe next year, maybe in not even next year, because I'd have to start it now, or in 2 years, I would maybe reapply, but I still don't even have all the paperwork.
I know, but you can do that. I mean, it's not gonna be hard, but yeah.
I need.
Yeah.
So I never applied for my social insurance number for the States and all that shit. So I need all those
You need that
paperwork
stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just dragging.
How
Whatever.
about you?
How do I price?
Yes.
I think I'm pretty consistent with my prices in terms of like
Sure.
reflecting what it is that I do. And what you were saying about the venue is different, but at the same time now what I realize is that I know what it is to sell at the market. And I kind of thought, why am I shortchanging myself at home? So not sometimes, I often charge kind of the same price for moccasins anyway.
Okay.
Other things, I don't really have anything for sale usually. So I just usually do custom order and I tell the people up in front like what it is. And then usually it's a ballpark figure of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes they don't ask for an itemized list. So I say, okay, it's going to be this. It's never going to be like super crazy because I want people to be wearing my stuff because, I think it's good and they want it. So I don't want to make it so people can't ever have anything. Like, that's not cool. So I do it that way. But I do know my worth now and it's going to sell somewhere. Where it sells, I don't know, but it's going to sell and I'm okay if I have to wait 5 years. And I've had pieces I've had for 5 years and not sold and then sell it. And I'm just like, no, this is my price and that's it. I'm not bowing down. It's got to be what's got to be. And it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not worried. But then, like I've said on the podcast before, I have another job too. So I'm not worried about that.
Yep.
So I think if I was wanting to be more consistent and have things sell where we live, I would have to be more like manufacturing things myself, obviously, but maybe on a smaller scale, not to the big heights that I did like at Santa Fe, where I can do my creativity. Like that's what it is. Like my best work, I think, is when I'm just like doing whatever I want to do because it's for a competition. But I think the best thing I've done so far is this cradle board, and it didn't have nothing to do with a competition. So I'm so glad, like, because sometimes when you're trying to do something just to make first place, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. You really got to just love what you're doing, and it comes out. It shows. People will know for sure. Like that's really good work, and you'll know when your best piece is your best piece, and then the next one will be even better because you've learned so much from the last one. And I think like that's one of the things is my best piece is the piece that I just did, and I'm trying to do better than that, and that's just kind of how it is. And it's really a competition for me, it's a competition with myself.
Yeah.
I want to do the best thing I can. And if it wins, then awesome. And if it wins some money, that's even better. But sometimes it doesn't win any money though. Like it could be just like a little drop in the, like tolls. It could be the amount of tolls that you're paying. But yeah, so that's kind of like how my prices are. But I think, like I say all the time, there's a market for everything, and you just see what it is around you and you try. And if you aim too high, just go a little bit lower. But hopefully you're never having to be like, oh my God, I really undersold myself. Like that's the worst part because there's a lot of people out there who sell their stuff for a lot of money. And sometimes you look at it and think, well, I hate to say it, but sometimes you think I do a little bit better job than that. And I could have asked for more. And next time, hopefully I remember that. So yeah. Beading pet peeves, people who undercharge. No.
Margaret, top of the list.
No, I've gotten a lot better now. But
no, you're really good. Getting better.
Your prices are fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See? No.
See?
Yeah. Well, going back to that, I always think of what Michael Galvin had said at Ganondagan when he came up to me and talked with me about the moccasins and all of that when they won. And I was kind of like, yeah, I was just so surprised. And he was like, why? And I was kind of like, what do you mean why? Like, and he was like, but that's a confidence thing. I'm like, and you're goddamn right it is. Like, and it's not even just a low sense of confidence. In the back of my head, there's always that, like, it's that idea, like, well, you can't outshine anybody. You can't be better than anybody else, or somebody is going to tear you down or say something. So that's ingrained in me. It's ingrained in a lot of people. It's not just me sitting here. And so a lot of us carry that, like, well, if I do this, I'm going to sell it at 500. Everyone's going to say like, oh my God, who the fuck is she to sell it at that? You know what I mean? So that kind of plays in sometimes. So it is a struggle sometimes to get past that and to value your worth and to price things accordingly. So I still struggle with that. I still like, okay, I'm going to put it at this and the hell with what anybody says, So it's not, there's demons that people have to fight sometimes to just price them. So
yeah,
that's kind of where that.
And I think that also goes with like entering your first show. Like a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, and I think that's what I really like applaud you and Quahali for is that you just started at, like we all started at a smaller venue than say the Santa Fe Indian Market. It gets your feet wet. It allows you to have those feelings and realize like, okay, maybe I need to do this, or, like, yeah, that was so excellent. I did this and it worked and all these other things. And it gets that, it builds that confidence, and then it allows you to grow for the next one. Because I mean, that's like, if that's what you want to have, like that prestige of maybe making it to the market, then yeah. But not everybody has to go to the market to be successful.
Yeah.
There's tons of people who don't and just make,
no.
Yeah. But come on,
Eventually.
it's a fun time. I mean, I don't know what really the market looks like all that much, but people are having fun.
Yeah, all the stress. No.
Oh, it can be stressful.
It's super stressful. Yeah, it's really stressful, but
it's fun once you get there.
Yeah.
Because you know how powwow was.
Yes. Well, it's the timing. So eventually I'll get there, like, when I feel like it. When I don't feel like, I got extra shit to do, then I'll go.
What's next, Leith?
okay. So a question that was out there is, what is your take on people reselling your work? Because I mean, and this is a good question. This is a good topic because Grant is selling old beadwork. Mind you, we probably don't know anybody who's making it, but I would assume, and I've heard in the stratosphere of Ngwehunwe going on, that there are people out there selling other people's work.
That's my whole job. What are you talking about?
But I mean, not saying
that's what they're doing.
that's what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and also not saying that it belongs to, it was mine and now I'm selling it. You know what I mean? Like I procured it somehow and now I'm reselling it. Not the artist coming and saying, would you like, can I sell my stuff at your store?
Antique beadwork is one thing.
Yeah.
We don't know who made it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, a couple centuries old. When you're dealing with something that old, you just want to get it back to where it came from. At least for me, I want the women among the Mohawks, they call it rematriate, so I want to rematriate this old beadwork back to Ganawagi. The contemporary stuff, that's a big no-no. And I know a few people who do it as well.
Resell things? Like I don't know anybody. This is a topic of,
This is not a place to disclose names or individuals.
Really? No, for sure. Don't.
Yeah,
Please don't.
I've heard people buying others' work, embellishing it, and then reselling it and doubling the price at which they purchased it.
Oh,
There's a
wow.
lot of that goes on both in Canada and the United States.
As an artist, yeah, I'd be pissed if like I did a pair of moccasins and then somebody like puts a couple of rhinestones on it and then sells it for double. I'd be pissed. Yeah, it would bug me. It would kind of piss me off. Like, yeah, no,
But I have never seen anybody resell my beadwork except for auction house.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah.
That's when I step in and rebuy it, keep it in the family. I won't resell them and be like, thank God I got this piece back. I loved it. I made this 10, 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've had that problem. Me as an artist, though, yeah, I'd kind of be like, what the hell? And especially if I'm not asked or told about it, then yeah, I'd have a big problem with that. Like, I don't know. But then on the other hand, people are coming to me. I have a store that sells everybody else's stuff, but I'm upfront with how much it's being sold extra. Like the store does get a small percentage. I don't hide any of that. Like, and people, I'm not sneaking and buying shit from people and then tripling it,
Yeah.
Even when I was selling Tuscarora woodwork, their items, I'm always, because I'm an artist as well. There you go. I said it. No. I will reach out to the artist. I'll reach out to the artist and ask permission beforehand, even if it's a business, because I'd be pissed if I saw somebody else's store in wherever, Niagara Falls, somebody opens up a store and then all my moccasins are sitting there and they're selling them for double, triple. I'd be pissed, without that knowing, without somebody giving me a heads up. So I always make it a point within my business to ask the artist if they're okay with that. And if they're not, then, then I don't, that's their stuff.
There are museums and casinos that buy our work as well and double the price.
Yeah.
So they're selling it in-house and, that's, if you sell wholesale, that's just the price that you pay and,
yeah,
you got a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you kind of should be charging what you want, what you should get for,
I don't wholesale. I don't think you do either.
I've never wholesaled.
I don't either.
I've been approached numerous times by national National Museum of the American Indian, and I won't do it. I'm like, I can't go down. I'm sorry. This is the value of my work, what it costs, the materials and the beads alone. And then it just don't go nowhere.
Yeah. No.
So here's another question. What has been your most difficult beading technique to master?
Ladies first.
Mine is fringe. I'm still trying, man. I'm still trying. Fringe is like one of my, that and birds. Anything living, like I've said before, anything living like birds. I mean, I would never do a cat or any of those kind of wild things from the past. But birds, even like, I just designed something today and it has the same bird that I did on all my things, but I know I can do it, so I'm going to do it.
I don't know. To
But
master something.
Fringe.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still working on. Oh, you know what? Freaking flower centers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do them and I'm just not always happy with them because I want it to look a certain way and I'm like still trying to figure out that one little extra thing to make it look a certain way. So, yeah.
Mr. Jonathan.
I can't think of anything, honestly.
Okay.
I don't bead enough, like you ladies do all the time. And just when I get the spare time, and it's usually when I'm, in a crunch, I'll just whip it up quick. And if it looks funny, you just keep at it. And yeah, maybe some writing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you do a lot of writing on your work.
I do a lot of beaded words on my pieces. And if it don't look right, it comes all out and I redo it.
Mm-hmm. Do you put a thing on there to follow or do you wing that?
I put threads across. And I'm just like, all right, Grant, keep the beads in between those threads so that it looks relatively clean and even. And but yeah, writing for me is tough.
Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of rapid fire, so it's easier.
Okay.
So, and then the last one is a big question. It's not a super big question, but it's big enough anyway. So our first one is, if you had a pet, and I know you both have pets. One is a 21 pounds something cat or rather, and then this one here lives on like Dr. Doolittle's farm, and I have some too. But
old McDonald over there.
If your pet could talk, what would they say about you? That's not the first thing. Go.
Slave, get me treats.
Stop taking pictures of me. No.
I would say, why do you keep telling me to get out of here? What time do you usually wake up, Margaret?
7:38-ish.
Grant?
5 a.m.
5 a.m. Myself, I'm almost 6:30. Do you believe in soulmates? As a tear falls on my face.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
I would say maybe the long time ago it was like a soulmate for a season or just any old reason, but now I think after all of that I've gone through, I think, yeah, for sure.
You made it sound so biblical.
A seasonal. What the hell is a seasonal soulmate? Like a spice of the month kind of thing?
No, but I mean, like, sometimes, like, you think that's what you're going to be for, like, that's who you want. Yeah. But it's not. It's like, it's when you're,
the
like,
flavor
say
of
somebody, no, it's not even flavor. Say, like, you are in college and you have this wonderful love affair and it's a relationship and then it's done.
You're making her sweat even more.
I know.
Over here. She's fanning herself. She can't handle it.
I can't. Oh my God. No.
But yeah, like, and then sometimes, like, so that's a season, like a reason, like sometimes, like, you might be down in the dumps and you have this thing and this infatuation, you feel like, oh my God, we're meant to be. And then it's just like, well, maybe that bad part of your life is over and you're like, no thanks.
Yeah.
I say yay and you say...
I say meh.
You said meh?
She says meh.
I think it's bullshit. Honestly, there you go.
Yes. Okay, good.
Because I think that everything, it takes work, dedication, compromise, partnership, friendship, relationship, love, all of that.
Yeah.
It's work. And not that to say it's like, it's hard work. Oh my God, I hate it. But
it's hard work.
Yeah, it takes hard work. So I guess if somebody has that kind of where it's just like fireworks constantly.
No, I don't think, I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about a soulmate is somebody, for me anyway, like my husband, I want to put in that work. Like that's somebody I don't want to lose. Like that's that's what I mean by our souls are met. Doesn't mean we're gonna, if we just like let the chips fall where they may, we're gonna just love each other.
What it is. It's like that whole romanticized notion
not that at
of
all.
it.
Not at all. No.
Like I don't believe in that because it's a fairy tale, like, and exactly what you said, like, I love my husband and all of that, and it takes work. Sometimes I'm a pain in the ass, sometimes he's a pain in the ass, so we have to work at it, so.
Okay.
So that's my answer.
Grant, salt or sweet?
Both.
Okay, Margaret.
Sweet.
Okay, I'm more like salty. Do you learn by watching or doing, Margaret?
Doing.
Grant.
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Me, it's doing. I hate to read.
Let's stop there for a minute. I want to embellish this one.
Go for it. Go.
So many people say that they're self-taught. I think they watch or they see or look.
Yeah.
You look at something and you're like, hey, I want to do that. I want to be able to do that. And, I think there's a lot of people out there that say they're self-taught and they're full of shit.
I think I've used that phrase before.
So have
but
I.
Now I don't use that often now.
You need to credit your teachers.
Oh, God,
Even
yes.
if you just learn the littlest amount.
Yes.
And be humble. And it's, if you didn't see beadwork and you just sat down and took beads and the needle, you wouldn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But by looking and watching and stuff,
I'm take a picture and zoom in and investigate, and I I always do that. And like I always tell this story. My great grandmother had strawberry. Oh my God, Grant! I don't know if you ever heard this story. My great grandmother had strawberries, beaded strawberries, and for me to figure out how she did it, I took it apart. I cut it all.
I hope you put it back.
I did not, because I didn't know what the hell. I didn't know how. So I cut it all up. So, and then I didn't know what to do with it. But I had to examine it.
Stomach ache.
I'm sweating now.
I had to look at it. That's how I figured out what the hell she did.
Now I'm fanning myself over
He's
here.
trying to fly away over here. But exactly. I do agree with what you're saying, is because like, even as I was saying, like we always evolve and all that. A lot of the times the push to evolve is because I've witnessed somebody else do something 10 times better. It looks way better. So you know what? Okay, I want to up my game because I want mine to look just as good, So I'm investigating, I'm looking, I'm checking out how to help their techniques, what they're doing. So
there's nothing wrong with acknowledging your influences.
Oh, for sure.
What motivates you or what you like in somebody else's work. I mean, it's flattering and stuff, but I'm of the opinion if you've got some skills from another person, you need to announce it and share it. And I do that all the time. My mother taught me the basics. Rosemary taught me the advanced. Those are my two teachers. It's important.
I just had this one experience, even just like a week and a half ago. Well, I made this cradle board, and my biggest influence were Carla and Babe Hemlock. Like that was 12 years ago. I worked at the shop. 12 years ago, they were going to the Santa Fe Indian Market, the herd market actually, both. And I was there, and they were like, you should apply to the market, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't know. And they were just really encouraging. And I did. And it was that year that I met Grant that time. And then after I did the herd, and I think even after I did Santa Fe, I had this idea, like Babe was starting his cradle boards and all that in ornate design. It was wonderful. And I was like, man, I'm a great advocate for cradle boards. I've used cradle boards for all my kids. I think they're great. And I was like, man, I wish I could make one. One, I had no skill, but I had no skill also in like the decorative art of painting or carving. And I was like, how am I ever going to do this? I'm never going to be able to. And I thought, what could I do? Well, one, I could try to make a cradle board. That would take 100 years. But then the second part is like, how would I decorate it? And I thought, let me do beadwork. And so I had that idea and and then so a week ago, I went there. I saw Babe. I happened to see him at the hardware store. Like that was my intention. I saw him at the hardware store. I said, are you going to be around this week? I'd like to go by and show you my cradle board. He's like, oh, I heard about it a little bit, whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I went there, and of course, like I was just like standing there, like, I don't want to say fangirling, but I was like just standing in front of, this was a really big time, and I was crying. I didn't cry the whole time, but I cried when I talked about how instrumental they were to who I am now, because if without that encouragement, I would have never done what I did. I said, but also in the inspiration that this happened, and then I was able to finish it. And then they were looking at it. He was holding it. I wanted so badly to take a photo. I got a mental photo of it though, because that was like what I aspired to, is to do this. And like that was like a real moment for me, like a whole like just
full circle,
and like just acknowledging that, and like they got a little teary-eyed too, I think, or maybe it was just hot that day, but yeah, I thought that was really important. So like when you say that, Grant, to like acknowledge people, whether by name or by group or whatever, I think it's important. We always advocate here on the show to do that too, and I think getting inspiration from people to do your next best thing is good too. So
pattern on top of velveteen.
There you go. There's your inspiration.
That's my next one.
Okay, so describe your beadwork in 3 words, Grant. We've done that before, Margaret and I, but
it's tough.
3 words. What are your 3 words? Come on, Grant. Push yourself to the limits.
Bright.
Yes, I knew it. Hoping.
Cheerful.
And
sexy.
Yes, that bird, for sure. That
Sexy.
bird you made, that was for sure.
All black strawberry. You got to hook me up now.
you. That's sexy. Black on black.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. You, Margaret, what would you say?
Oh God, I don't remember the
She's
hell.
going to say sexy, sexy, sexy.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. I would say.
I don't know what you said before. Well, we already answered those questions. We're not just going to pass. Okay.
FFS. That's her 3 words.
You know what we should do?
What?
What would you say about his, and what would he say about mine, and what would I say about yours?
That's easier.
Okay, so I would say for you, I would say neutral tone. Grant, I would say like bursts of color, like for sure. That's what I would say because and they're totally different.
My turn.
Yeah.
Leith, desert color.
Oh, of course, you knew you were going to say that. Desert.
I was going to say the same, like earth tones.
Margaret, Margaret colors.
I have my own category now.
What do I mean by that? Soft,
Yes.
muted
Yes.
colors.
Yeah.
They're very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
But they're Margaret colors.
There are, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? My mother always jokes, and she's always like, oh, beiges and blah. And I'm like, listen, lady, like, but actually, I don't know why the hell, but for me, I've said this before, I internally feel insane a lot of the times. And I like calm, muted things because that's what I strive for. To have things that are calming and peaceful and muted. And I've done a lot of work to try to get there, you know. So it's kind of like I don't work well in chaos. And even my home, if you've ever, well, you see pictures, everything is muted, everything is calm because I cannot function in chaos. So that's why a lot of that probably, you know, and when I have to do pieces in fluorescence, like people over here, no.
Oh, you just fluorescent.
No, but like the bright colors, I have a hard time with it because I feel like it's chaotic, and I have to push past the me wanting to mute it all down. So
She described our beadwork, Leith. We're chaotic. Chaos
no,
and chaos.
no way. Like you do a balance, though. I like that. Like there's somewhere it's like, and they're all beautiful. I'm not knocking anything.
Yeah.
But when I see big, bright, I would not know how to do that in a way where it all flows and looks nice. You know, like it would be chaotic. If I tried to do it, it would be chaotic, you know.
And like when I try to use velvets, like what Grant likes to use, like bright colors, I always do. And I just made 2 bracelets that are just like monochromatic. Mm-hmm. That's how I get past it. If I want to do color, it's hard for me to add like a yellow on a green or something. You know, it's like,
When in doubt, use clear glass on bright color.
Oh God! When in doubt, use white.
Yeah.
Clear glass. Ooh, it's so. I love it. That's my best one. I love that. The best.
Old style.
Yes.
I'm trying though right now. I'm like, no, I'm trying to go your way now. I'm like trying to get like a little bit more out of my comfort and doing brighter colors and more, just because it is. I find it's like it's a test now for me. It's kind of like a new adventure because I'm kind of tired of all my colors, even though I still love them. But yeah, I'm trying. You'll see. You might see more craziness out of me soon.
Would you ever get one of your designs as a tattoo? But one of your designs that you beaded, not necessarily that just drew to be a tattoo.
I would.
Yeah?
In fact, it's crossed my mind over the past few years.
Do you have any tattoos?
I do not.
Oh my God. Santa Fe.
No.
Let's go.
I do my owls.
Oh, yeah.
I would do it on my forearm or on my chest.
Cool. That's interesting.
I would too. I've been thinking we're...
On your chest?
Oh, no, not there. Actually, I don't know. Well, I just recently did my son's
Okay.
his graduation outfit, and it's not mine, it's not just me, because it's but because of where we live on the water, we're connected to the river, that our whole family lives out there and everything. That's what he asked for on his graduation outfit. That was the main thing. Anything else he didn't care what it was. So I did put all the waves in, and it's like our, the way we do them or whatever. So recently we just me and my kids and Greg all decided that that's something we're all going to do together when my daughter's of age or able to do it. So I do have intentions of putting like a wave design on my arm and stuff. And then everybody's going to get the exact same thing. So I have to draw it and figure it out. And we're going to add some things to it. But yeah, so it will be. But it's kind of inspired by that, like his beadwork too. So yeah.
All done in Margaret colors.
They are. Mine are all in gray.
Yeah, I see that.
They're muted.
Yeah, they're muted.
It's a gray blue.
They're gray.
Okay, so the next one is, and this isn't a rapid fire, but it is a question I think is fitting to be our last question is, what is your best advice for a beginner beader?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Talk to expert beaters, allow them to help you develop your skills. There's no stupid questions. You mess up, you rip it out. Don't be ashamed. That's my advice. And, don't be afraid to push the envelope and try different things and things that aren't the usual, or, trying to make something that's different from what everybody else is making. That's my advice.
Good job.
Yes. So with
What do you say? I want to hear Margaret's.
Oh, what do you say?
Wait, what was the question?
What is your best advice for a beginner?
10 seconds.
Oh, Christ. Just do it. No.
Just do it.
I don't know. Don't be afraid to rip shit out.
Yeah.
And don't settle. Don't settle for,
How you learn.
Yeah, you gotta, and like you said, yeah, it's pretty much what you said. So there you go. You said it all.
And you, Leith?
Try. That's it. Try.
Yes.
Try. I think that's good.
Yeah. I think that was the year. For me, this year was try. I tried to do everything I could to do. And even now, like as workshops comes up or different things, I'm just trying it. I'm just doing it. And yeah, try.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have beater's block.
Even if you just try.
Yeah.
Because the only way through is by pushing that needle through.
Yeah. You all need breaks, but you got to push yourself sometimes.
Yeah. That's kind of currently where I'm at. I'm in a break right now.
Oh, God.
I haven't done anything. Like I have an order that I've been working on and I just kind of stopped. Sorry to the person waiting for it. But I had to just take a quick break it's summer. I just want to be like doing nothing, so.
Well, I'm not on a break and I know Grant's on a break, but we are going to break now and say nyawa everybody for listening. We are happy that the nice beading weather is going to be coming upon us in the next couple months.
Yeah, because it's hot right now.
It's hot here in the studio. So we'd just like to say nyawa Grant for coming to talk with us at the beading table. We hope you enjoyed yourself and good.
Except for this heat.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, it's
Hopefully
hot.
everyone is listening from an air-conditioned space, car, home, you name it. But yeah.
I'm going right back to this because my air conditioning is broken at home.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'll just go sleep in my car. Yeah.
There you go. Well, hopefully it gets fixed soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I know.
Holy fuck, God.
The views and opinions of the guests expressed in this podcast do not reflect those of Udiwase and its employees.